wrestling fans, welcome to the One Wing Wrestling Podcast, where two wrestling elitists discuss or review AEW events and wrestling news from around the world. At One Wing Wrestling, our motto is, we go where the elite go. I'm your host, Krishna and joining me today is Mr. Bill Cupbush. Bill, how's it going?
Hello there. Yeah, I'm not doing too bad tonight. It's been a pretty decent night, but as you all who are listening probably know by now, what we do here on One Winged Wrestling, we're going to look at our thoughts, our expectations for the coming event. You all know that by now. What we hope for, what we think might be good or bad, the match of the night. We're going to go off and watch the show. When we come back, we're going to see if those expectations were met or exceeded. But as always, the most important thing is, was anything in this show able to reach that all-important Omega level?
And I'll always ask Bill, can a show without Kenny Omega ever reach the Omega level?
Yes, and speaking of Kenny Omega and all kinds of other things, we have a lot of news to cover tonight, so why don't we just get into our Keeping Up with the Elite segment?
Let's do it.
First up, we have some injury updates. Santana, as we noted on Dynamite last week, he did injure his left knee in a Uranagi spot. Tony Khan was on Busted Open Radio. No details were given of the injury, but he did say on that show that it could be a long time before he recovers. It turns out that there were two people we talked about last week that we thought may no longer be with AEW. One was Chuck Taylor, but he appeared that night on Dynamite, and he has since come out and said that he has not been fired, and he wrestled again on Dark Elevation this week, and he'll be around AEW to come. He is an AEW original, so that's quite encouraging to see that. We do have some other injury updates to let you know about. Kyle O'Reilly, he told a show called This Is Van Color this week about his injury that he's received. He said that this is something I've been dealing with. It's a nagging thing that I've been dealing with specifically pretty bad for the last 5 years. In the last few weeks of wrestling on AEW, I've been really banged up and didn't know the extent of it until now. I still don't know all the information, so I don't want to disclose exactly what's happening with me. I need more information, and I should know probably this week what the recovery time is going to be and what the recovery will entail. All I can do is, if there is time off, use it to remotivate myself, get in better shape, and come back stronger than ever before. Well, that's unfortunate news. It looks like Kyle O'Reilly's injury is probably, or more than one injury, is probably pretty serious. I, for one, wish him a speedy recovery. It doesn't look good for yet another member of the Elite that will be out. He has put on some amazing matches in the last little while, and it's unfortunate to see him go down like that. But hopefully he can come back, get everything looked after that he needs to look after, and come back better than ever. So those are my thoughts on Kyle O'Reilly. What do you think?
I hope he's okay. Obviously, with an injury he doesn't even want to disclose at the moment, it's kind of concerning. We're talking about how fantastic his run has been recently, like his singles run, going up against Mox for the chance to face off against Tanahashi at Forbidden Door and everything like that. Going through that gauntlet to get there, first of all, has been fantastic. His match with Ray Phoenix that one night stole that show. So yeah, it's kind of sad. Like, everyone is out, everyone is injured. Again, I hope he's okay. It kind of sucks that he's actually on the mend at the moment. The Elite in AEW right now, they need a win. Like, they need something positive coming out of this, because it just feels like every single star is dropping, which gives it gives a chance for other people to step up. But still, these big names are going down. Not like Kyle O'Reilly's a huge name, but like their stars are falling like flies right now. It would be great if one person came back. You know what I mean? Like
it would truly be wonderful, because the Elite right now is literally three people: the Bucks and Brandon Cutler.
The Bucks. Yes,
and
you're correct.
Brandon Cutler. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we have a couple more injuries that we wanted to discuss. These ones are a little more serious. The first one, while Kenny Omega was on CEOGaming Twitch this week,
Yeah.
And he said he's been struggling with his rehabilitation. He said,
Hmm.
if I have another major setback, I'm done. I can't
Yeah.
ever do this again. Kenny
Yeah.
went on to express how he has had to endure really painful rehab 2 to 3 times a day due to the extent of his injuries. This is not good or encouraging news, I think, for a couple of wrestling elitists like us.
Yeah, and you know what, I heard this interview, or the snippets, and of course the internet was losing their mind. Kenny Omega is not coming back to wrestling. Kenny Omega is not gonna do anything. But if you look at the context and why he said what he said, that's definitely not what he said. Like literally there's clickbait all over the internet. Oh, Kenny Omega quits, blah blah blah. You
Oh
when
my
you
God.
read it was all clickbait. Every single outlet then said, well, actually what he meant was, if he had a setback, it's just been so strenuous. He doesn't think, like, mentally, he just can't do this again, right? So he wants to not, like, coming back and helping out with the Owen Hart tournament. Was it the Owen Hart tournament? Yeah,
Yeah, it
Owen
was the
Hart,
Owen
right?
Hart tournament.
Yeah, coming back and helping actually delayed some of his rehab, and that's why he had this expression. He's like, you guys,
Right.
I took time off where I should have been rehabbing, trying to help the company, and it set me back. And think about this: a guy who lives and breathes the sport, for him to have more setbacks. Like, I was looking, there's this girl on Twitter who counts down days since Kenny Omega left, and we were up to like 270 or 280 days, and I'm like, wow, it's almost a year
Yep.
since Kenny Omega last wrestled, and I
Yes.
could not believe it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, you know what, mentally I'm so like, it hurts to hear Kenny say this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if one person is going to come back from this, it's going to be him, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think what's encouraging is that he didn't say, oh, this is too much, I'm going to stop rehab. It's like, I'm
Yes,
having painful rehab. I don't want to ever have to go through this again, which means one, he'll probably wrestle smarter. And two, he still wants to come back.
he still wants to come back.
Um,
Yeah.
the other member of the elite that is out, that may be out fairly seriously, is Adam Cole. Dave Meltzer reported this week that Cole has suffered a very serious concussion, and he'd been battling serious injuries before that, including a torn labrum, and was pretty banged up for a long time. That is not encouraging news for Adam Cole.
No, I agree. And the thing is, when you think about concussions and how they've come into the limelight within the past, like, what, five, not, I was gonna say 10 years, but no, I'm not. It's like past 5 years, I would say.
Hmm.
You realize how serious these injuries actually are,
Yeah.
right? So to hear that, that AEW is taking it seriously and stuff like that, um, at this point, you know what? All the best to Adam Cole. Hopefully, just relaxes, takes some time
Mm,
off, heals himself. Don't rush back, because you think about the next injury or the next concussion may be the last one, right? So,
precisely.
um, take it easy. Like, as I said, it's the same thing to Kenny. Take it easy, guys. Like, we have people who can wrestle, who can hold down the fort for us.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, those are not Bryan Danielson or CM Punk or the other and all the the injuries that we mentioned earlier. So, the final news item I want to do is a quick Young Bucks update. Meltzer reported, and this is better news.
Okay,
First of all, did you see the Bucks match against Goto and
I
Yoshihashi on
did.
Rampage?
Yeah.
Better than anything on Dynamite.
100%. But
Yeah.
remember you
We
said
said that.
that.
It was match of the night. There's my match of the night. It was just on the wrong show. But Meltzer also reported this week that the original plans for the Bucks were to win the IWGP Tag Titles at Forbidden Door. Meltzer went on to state,
What?
there is now a natural push for the Young Bucks versus FTR, with 4 sets of belts at stake and being pushed as a unique match in wrestling history, and could logically be billed as the biggest tag team match in history for that reason.
Wow. Part of me well, no, 100% of me wants that match. The problem is I don't know who to pick for the winner of that match.
Oh, it's the Young Bucks.
No, 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 no. Logically, it's the Young Bucks, but you don't want to take any type of movement. Think about this, Bill. The Young Bucks losing does nothing to the Young Bucks. Let's be real here. The Young Bucks are the best tag team in the world, ever, ever. I'm going on paper and saying that right now, ever. FTR is so good. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I was watching the after show for the pay-per-view,
Mm-hmm.
and watching watching Cash talk about Dax being the wrestler of the year, and I thought to myself, you know what though? Part of me is like, he's not wrong. If not the most improved wrestler I've seen all year, I wouldn't hesitate putting him up for, you know what, maybe wrestler of the year. Like they're that good that I'm like, do you have FTR win? Either way, that would be an epic match. Those
Yeah,
two going
no,
at it, right?
100%. I do think, though, that if
Mhm,
we're literally talking about a historical match where the winner
mhm.
could be considered the greatest tag team, it does hurt the Young Bucks losing that match. So, I mean, they're not bulletproof. They may be Bullet Club, but they're not
I hear
bulletproof.
you. I hear you.
So, I think that they almost need to beat
They need to win it.
FTR in that match. And either way you go, though, because I mean, there are people out there who could make an argument FTR is also one of the
Mhm.
greatest tag teams of all time, and I would
Yeah,
agree they are one of.
one of.
They're
Yep,
just not
agreed.
the Bucks.
No,
So yeah, I really hope this match happens. Um, I hope that what Meltzer's thrown out there actually comes true, but I hope it happens after FTR gets a nice long
same,
run with the three
same.
belts they've got. You keep the belts on the Young Bucks, and you build up to something months from now and really do a solid build.
100%. As we've talked in the past, like, what is AEW's WrestleMania?
Hmm.
What do we consider the WrestleMania, right?
Right,
Like, are we
right.
considering Forbidden Door now the WrestleMania of like company? But it's not.
Not
It's
really.
two companies, right, together. So then what is? I think AEW needs to decide what is your WrestleMania. It doesn't have to be coming up soon. It could be next year,
Hmm.
right? And that's where you have those belts on the line for that.
Yeah, I would say All Out is probably the best choice because All In was the very first
Mm-hmm.
event that got AEW sort of the kernel of AEW going, and then All Out
Yeah,
was their first official show. So,
agreed.
I think doing that as their WrestleMania wouldn't be a terrible idea. Um, okay. Well, that wraps up the news that we had this week. And so we have an episode of Dynamite coming up that it's got a few matches we can take a look at. A few matches we can take a look at, yeah. Let's see. There was a match added quite late. Let's start
Mhm.
there. We have
Yeah.
Penta Oscuro taking on Roosh.
Yeah. So the first time I saw Roosh, or when I heard the name Roosh, I'm like,
Mhm.
is this Leo Rush? Are we like WB and we're just dropping the Leo part and it's just Rush now? Like I was so confused. But then I saw who Roosh was.
Mhm.
Penta versus Roosh. You know what? I think this is gonna be a good match. I like Penta. I think I want to see more like what Roosh can actually do. Um, I think this is gonna be a good. You know what? I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be one of the better matches of the night, easily.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with you because these guys have had a long feud in various, I think, various Mexican, at least AAA, I think, but maybe in other
Mhm.
Mexican, I don't know, maybe other Mexican companies. So maybe Rush is from CML, or CMLL, I don't remember. But anyway, they
Yes, he
fought a
is.
lot. They've had a long-standing feud. I believe that was even mentioned last week. Was it during Dynamite or was it during the Battle Royal on Rampage? Anyway, one of the two. But I think it could be a very solid match. They dislike each other, so there's like a strong element for the feud. It'll be hard hitting. I don't know, could this be match of the night? I think it has some potential to be match of the night given what the rest of the card looks like. I don't want 2 weeks in a row where I can't pick a match of the
I
night. So
know. I
please,
know.
guys, come out, give me a good match. Um, because the next match, TNT Championship match,
Mhm.
Street Fight, Scorpio Sky versus Wardlow, is probably not going to be my match of the night.
No, and I don't know if they give Wardlow the belts in this one. I really don't know if they're going to do it because no, he kind of called out all of American Top Team, right? So they're going to be a lot of shenanigans. Maybe the shenanigans help Sky win it. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But I again, this match it's not going to be like the street fight with the best friends versus oh what are the name again? Proud and Powerful, right?
Yes.
Like it's not going to be like that. That was an awesome street fight. Yeah, this is going to be an okay match. That's it.
Yeah, it's going to be it's the excuse so that they can beat Wardlow because they're going to
Yeah,
have like 27 guys piling on him, right? So it'll just be Wardlow getting those big I'm throwing 7 guys off me spots and coming back, but then just one too many weapons used on him and he finally goes down, right?
agreed.
That's all this match is going to be. Could be the worst match of the night because like for a street fight to be good, it's got to have a good story, and I just don't.
Yeah, same.
Speaking of don't care, we also have Thunder Rosa versus Tony Storm versus Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir.
Ooh, so you have two good wrestlers out of four people, four, right? So
Mm-hmm.
50% here.
Yes.
Now this is not like when Tony Storm was injected into that other full tag team match. But the three wrestlers that were in the ring were actually pretty good.
Right.
So in this match, I don't know. I'm looking at this card, and I'm trying to figure out which is going to be my match of the night, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not this. Like I didn't want to confuse anyone there. Definitely
Yeah.
not this match. I was actually looking at this match and saying, is this going to be one of the worst matches of the night? And I'm afraid to say yes because I saw Tony Storm give Marina Shafir that the double I guess DDT off the ring apron the other night. Man, it looked bad. It looked bad, and it wasn't Tony Storm's fault in that one because she gave it to both Nyla and Marina. Marina didn't even hit the floor. That's how bad it was. So that
Wow.
I'm thinking like I'm gonna say this. There are gonna be botches in this match. There are gonna be misses. This is gonna be the worst match of the night.
You could be completely correct. You know what? I skipped that match on Rampage.
Oh.
I got to the end of the Bucks match, watched the promo stuff up to this match, and then went, yeah, okay, that's enough. I'm done with Rampage. So yeah, I didn't even bother watching. I did hear some comments about it, and that
Mhm.
Nyla Rose was especially a standout, and that she's
Well, of
come a long
course.
way. Yeah, I mean, like she knows her role in this
Yes, she
division
knows what
now,
she's
you know,
doing.
and she's quite good.
Mhm.
Thunder Rosa, she's good. So
Good.
there's half of a match here.
Yeah.
If those two are in the ring a lot, it's going to be decent. If they're not, it's going to be the worst match on the card. So,
100%.
yep.
100%.
Next up, we have The Butcher and the Blade versus Swerve and Our Glory.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say this is going to be the match of the night, right? Because the Butcher and Blade are great wrestlers, and Swerve like and Lee, like I love this tag team. I just hope they're going to be broken up eventually, but I just hope they stay together for a long time. They're just so much fun to watch. So
Yep.
I'm looking for a lot of fun, a lot of high flying power with Lee and Butcher because listen, Butch has been awesome recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going on record right now to say this is gonna be my match of the night.
It very well could be. It's certainly in the two candidates that are on this card. I
Yeah.
loved the Butcher and the Blade's performance during that Battle Royal on
Mm-hmm.
Rampage. They eliminated so many people. They worked so well together as a team. They just seem almost unstoppable when they're. It was nice to see the bunny back too on
Yeah.
Rampage, so
Yeah,
that
that
was
was nice.
good.
That was
Yep.
good.
Yep. Yeah, and Swerve and Our Glory, these guys are awesome.
So
They went
good.
from being guys that I was like, why do I ever want to watch these two to, oh my God, it's Swerve and Our
Good.
Glory. Awesome. And they
So
even named
good.
the tag team after that phrase. So, you know,
The phrase.
yep, they're amazing. The Butcher and the Blade are amazing and underrated.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that this has a very strong potential as well to be match of the night.
Okay. There you
Okay,
go.
then we have Christian Cage and Luchasaurus will be appearing live.
This I think is going to help Luchasaurus a lot. This is just going to, Jungle Boy's injury, Luchasaurus. You know what I realized that one of the wrestling shows I watched kind of talked about was the fact that Luchasaurus, you look at him, it was almost like a Kane type entrance because everything was
Hmm.
black, the fire and everything like that. Like he's just
Yeah.
dark Luchasaurus right now. So I think they need this to just keep pushing Luchasaurus to the moon, and then have this monster for Jungle Boy to fight when he comes back. If you want to get the Christian Cage, you got to go through this monster first. So
Yep.
I'm actually I'm not won't say I'm excited for this, but I'm interested in where this is going.
More Luchasaurus random beatdowns, please.
Hells yeah. Hells yes.
Yep. Christian Cage on the mic, Luchasaurus randomly beating guys down. I'm there for it. So yeah, I'm happy to see this on the card. I'm looking
Though
forward to
I
it.
do miss like Luchasaurus facts about dinosaurs being oppressed and
Yeah,
everything like
well,
that.
they'd already gotten rid of that though. He stopped
I
being
know.
PhD
I
Luchasaurus a while
know.
ago,
I
which was
know.
I miss PhD Luchasaurus.
It's funny.
Someday we may get him or master's degree Luchas, whatever
Master's
it was
degree.
he had.
Got my
Yeah,
master's degree, and yeah,
yeah,
I loved it. I love
yeah.
that.
No, he was the best then. Then last we have, as we all saw Brodie King win that
Hmm.
battle royal then on Rampage, and I love the way he won it against Darby Allin, by the way. So that was a pretty strong victory. This is probably the biggest match of Brodie King's career, no joke.
100%.
And he's going up against Jon Moxley as the champion. What do you think?
Well, first off, where do you see this kind of push? Like Brodie King out of nowhere. He's part of the House of Black, right? We know what he can do, but who would have ever picked him as winning that battle royal?
Yeah, exactly. I saw him come
Right?
out and it was like, okay, he's not winning. And when he was against Darby Allin, I'm like, oh, they're gonna have Darby Allin eliminate
and
him.
then you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I think obviously there's no way. You're right. This is the match of his career.
Yep.
What he shows tonight is going to tell you what Brodie King is going to do with this company, right? In terms of like who's going to win, obviously Mox is going to win this match, but I'm very curious to find out what type of big man Brodie King is. Is he a Keith Lee type? Not, and I hate to say that, not a Keith Lee. Keith Lee's like an outlier, but you know what I mean? Like, is he type of the fun type of big man who can actually do moves and doesn't have like just one like move set and just does that move set and like, hey, I'm big, I'm gonna knock you down, pick you up and knock you down. No, I'm not in for that. I'm looking for a really well fought match. Like if he shows he's strong and he's beating down Moxley, which is hopefully what this is going to come out to, I'm really, really, really hoping that we get like oh my god, is this a new Miro coming out of here, or is this like you know what I mean, like Miro kind of like I'm destroying everything, or is this a Wardlow, right? This is what I'm hoping for, obviously the Miro part, but I have high hopes for this match, and really it's not the match itself. I have high hopes for Brodie King. That's who I'm rooting for.
Yeah, and I think that because this is the match of his career, he's going to come out and give like, sports cliche 110%. But I think it's going to be a really good match. We've got Jon Moxley at probably one of the best moments he's had in his career right now. Healthy wrestling, getting better Jon Moxley versus a Brodie King with nothing to lose in the spotlight. So I think this is a dark horse match of the night, depending on how, and I think you're right. What kind of wrestler is Brodie King going to be when he's under a spotlight like this? I have good hopes. I've heard nothing but good things about him, but then again, people have nothing but good things to say about Wardlow. So
exactly.
And Wardlow's not my style. So yeah, we will find out.
At least the card looks better than last week.
Yeah, I was looking at it going, does it? Well, I guess it does. There's actually a couple match of the night candidates on this one as opposed to last week. I mean, yeah, and there's like a dark horse main event possibility, and yeah, okay, it's probably slightly better than last week's, but my God, are we missing Bryan Danielson and CM Punk? And again, another Dynamite with not a single member of the Elite on it.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row.
Well, you heard last week my theory on why this is happening, right? Like they're really trying to push Rampage, right? So that's why
Rampage was great.
Exactly. It's smart, right? Yeah. Because if you want to say that, hey, we have a second show that's as good as Dynamite.
Yeah.
Maybe they move Rampage from not the time slot, but maybe they move Rampage to like from a 1 hour show to a 2 hour show. Instead of putting Dynamite to 3 hours, you just have 2 hour shows, right? Which might be okay.
And maybe do like I don't know, move some of the Dark Elevation stuff onto Rampage instead of Dark Elevation.
And that's the thing, right? Like you don't really need that many YouTube shows, right?
Yeah. Right.
Take it and put it onto an actual televised event.
And give me like sure, have some of those squash matches with the guys I want to see.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Some of those elevation style squash matches, throw them on Rampage. Put them between the big matches.
But you telling me on Dark and Rampage, Dark, for example, yesterday they had the Dark Order versus the Hollywood Hunks. What do they call themselves? The Wingmen, right? The Wingmen. So you have two groups of people who have been on Dynamite before, but you now have them on Dark because they're not telling stories like the other storylines that they're telling, right? So I'm like, so why not have an extra hour and put them on like a Rampage or something like that? Like you have these teams.
Exactly. But I guess we'll find out what's coming up for Rampage tonight on Dynamite as well. So
that's very true.
And Dynamite is coming up shortly. So I believe with that, we're going to go check out some Dynamite.
Let's do it.
And we will join you guys again. It'll seem like we were never gone, but believe me, it's a few hours later. And that was Dynamite. It was live this week from the Blue Cross Arena in Rochester, New York, which, as we found out very early on, is the home of Brodie Lee. And we
Brodie
had
Lee.
Excalibur, Taz, and Tony Schiavone in the broadcast booth to start us off. And immediately we go straight to the street fight between Scorpio Sky versus Wardlow. And we see Sky coming out with America's Top Team, Ethan Page and Dan Lambert. The announcers, of course, start emphasizing this is the home of Brodie Lee, which, plays a role for the entire night. So early on, we see Wardlow. He's using his strength until Sky low blows him. Wardlow comes back, tosses Sky out of the ring. There's some shenanigans with America's Top Team, and then a long, slow commercial break with rest holds and a slow beatdown by Wardlow. When we come back, we actually see the match picks up a bit. Wardlow does a very long distance senton off the top rope. And he's about to powerbomb Sky, but America's Top Team intervenes. We get more shenanigans. Wardlow disposes of all of them, but this sets up for Sky as Wardlow's distracted to grab the belt, nails Wardlow in the face, near fall. It kind of looked like it might be over, but we get the near fall. But then Wardlow sets him up now that everyone's been knocked out, and apparently all of America's Top Team is dead on the floor. He powerbombs Scorpio Sky. He looks up to the heavens. Powerbomb 2 and 3. He gets the 3 count, and your new TNT champion is Wardlow. What did you think of the match?
The first thing I wrote was Wardlow did a better swanton than Jeff Hardy. And it was far. It wasn't like it was close by. Like, he did a pretty damn good swanton bomb. So overall, the match was what I thought it was going to be. The outcome was different. I didn't actually expect Sky to lose the belt. I thought there was going to be some shenanigans where Wardlow may be beaten down to the point where he couldn't, like, something happens. But no, you know what? Wardlow is now the TNT champion, which is fine. Like, they did the whole huge celebration for that belt change. Like, they didn't have that plan. They just had confetti just there, right? But yeah, no, I thought the match was okay. It was nothing that I didn't already expect to happen. So I was like, okay, I guess Wardlow's now the champion. But I didn't really set anything else up new. So I was like, okay, I guess this is an okay match. It was nothing that I like, but the fans were fully into it. Like, they loved every second of it.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? You know who didn't love every second of this? Me. Yeah, I can't stand the fact that Scorpio Sky was just essentially warming the belt for Wardlow.
Basically.
The guy finally gets a title defense. He's got all of America's Top Team behind him, and he gets crushed. And come on, America's Top Team gets crushed in 5 seconds. The whole thing gets wiped out like they're security guards.
Yeah.
I'm like, these guys are MMA fighters. They're all dead. It was absolutely, like, unrealistically ridiculous to me that they were all taken out so quickly. Just one quick toss over the rope and they're all dead. Yep, all dead. Now, that senton was very impressive. And you're right, better than Jeff Hardy. And I knew the minute they said this was Brodie Lee's hometown, and the minute Wardlow, when he came out, he looked up and pointed up. I'm like, oh God, he's getting the belt.
Yep.
The minute he did that, I'm like, they're not going to do this because they will not dishonor Brodie Lee in his hometown, especially, right? And he won. Okay, great. So we have Brodie Lee as the not Brodie Lee. I wish it was Brodie Lee as the TNT champion. We have Wardlow as the TNT champion. Great. Yep. Okay, fine. And Scorpio Sky, maybe he's more injured than we think and he needs more recoup time. I don't know, but this was not a good match at all. Wasn't the worst match on the card.
Nope.
But not a good match. We then move on to a Jon Moxley promo. He says that a lot of people want him to be caught off guard and beat him down. They think Brody King is going to surprise him, but he knows the monster he's dealing with. Brody King, you forget what kind of monster I am. beat down a man he respects in Tanahashi, and then Blood and Guts for Mox is like golfing on a Sunday. He did his homework. He's seen Brodie Lee. He knows his friends and enemies. He's got one question left. Does he have a monster-sized heart beating in his chest? He's swimming in waters with the biggest shark in the game. The Blackpool Combat Club finds your limits and pushes them. Being world champion ain't for everybody, but it's what Mox does every day. Step up or get stepped on.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it wasn't as good as the response to this. I mean, when we get to the response, you find out that less is more sometimes.
Yeah.
And you find out that Malachi Black is one of the coolest people on earth. So yeah, sure, Mox, great, you talked. I took this when I heard the response. I took this as, okay, great, you spoke, right? You spoke to the fans who love you, but in no comparison was this anything to what Malachi says later on. So you know what? It did its job. It riled up the crowd. It got everyone in. But man, coming up when we talk about that other one, then
well, I mean, but to be fair, when I heard this promo, I was like, this is a solid promo. You know, it might be one to his fans, but I mean, seriously, I love stuff like this. Like, to me, this kind of like just slightly more realistic. You know, I am like the way Mox is just like, I'm a badass. Here's why. You know, he is. He would scare me. I wouldn't want to get in the ring with Mox. but yeah, no, it was a good promo. But I think you're absolutely right, and we will get to that promo later. So after the commercial break, we come back to Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling. I'm sorry. Oh, so he's got a petition he's trying to get signed. He needs a number of signatures from people in the roster to have Swerve Strickland removed from the roster. It's the People versus Swerve. He's like, but he stabs people in the back. They run into Keith Lee in the back, and he's telling him, you have problems with Swerve, just sign our petition. And Keith Lee says, yeah, we have trust issues, but he's my partner, and we're still winning, unlike you.
Yeah, which is correct. I mean, it was just funny. It's just it's sports entertainment added into like a storyline, I guess. It was just it's funny to where it leads to. So yeah, it did its job. It did its job.
To be like Smart Mark Sterling as this lawyer gig who's always trying to find legal reasons. He's becoming one of my favorite characters on this show. And him with Tony Nese, because Tony Nese is so funny with him. I love this pair. I am all in for all of their legal petitions. So this was pretty funny. Like the first guy they approach backstage is Swerve's tag team partner.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. Good job. You'll hate him. You'll sign the petition, right? Anyway, speaking of people that people hate, we then go to Christian and Luchasaurus. So Christian comes out and starts to cut a promo, and he says, on the heels of Blood and Guts, I'm the Cage that everyone is talking about. Jungle Boy and his family want to know why Luchasaurus remained aligned with me. But then he's interrupted by Matt Hardy, who comes out and says, you're unreal. You're the Michael Jordan of being an a-hole. Jungle Boy's his friend. He trusted, respected you, blah, blah, blah. Christian goes, you're buddy with Jungle Boy? You're making your brother sound like the sober one. Ouch.
Yep.
Matt goes on, you want to use Luchasaurus to make money? And he goes on about, I did the same thing with the HFO and I hate myself for it, so he doesn't want to see anyone else taken advantage of. Christian says, you're out here for your ego. You can't stand when you're not in the headlines. You use your kids, your wife, your father-in-law, the lawnmower, and you turn a blind eye to your brother to ride his coattails for one last run. Now you're pretending to care about Jungle Boy, but now I'm the hottest star and you just wanted to be near me. It's embarrassing. Your brother isn't the biggest embarrassment to your family. You are. Luchasaurus beats down Matt and Christian says, there you go. Your name is in the headlines.
Yeah. MJF who at this point? Christian has just shown that, like he the fact that they agreed to say some of this stuff, right? It was absolutely fantastic when he said, you're making your brother sound like the sober one. Out like I love they shoot to the audience. They're just all stunned. But yeah, no, it's it's funny that he brings up the fact that you like you do the same thing. So like, what are you really complaining about here? And you're a Jungle Boy for like how long have you known Jungle Boy? I've been with him for like the past year or so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, this I like the fact that they're carrying this storyline across. You know what's interesting? They threw Matt Hardy into there because now it's going to be Matt Hardy versus Luchasaurus, because Luchasaurus just needs someone else to crush at this point, right? So to build him up. But yeah, no, this did its job. Like, again, Christian is the biggest heel right now that AEW has
In professional wrestling.
in professional wrestling, exactly. And he's done it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we have I think 3 weeks now. This is the
the
third week.
Well, no, if you count the attack, right?
Right.
And then he did the promo,
and then he had another one last week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this is the third show now with heel Christian.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, 3 weeks, and there you go. Top heel.
I look forward to the Christian segments every week now.
Same.
Who would have thought I'd be saying that?
Christian, of all people.
It was a great promo. He said that line about his brother, and I was like, I literally typed in OMG.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I mean, they're going there, and they're bringing real life into it.
And in real life, Christian and Matt Hardy go way back. So,
they know it. Of course, of course. I mean,
I think if he's going to let anyone make those lines, it's going to be
Christian would not have even said that if he didn't get the okay from Jeff as well, right?
Exactly.
Like he's classy like that. So the fact that he said it, Jeff was like, you know what, I've done. Go ahead, use it, right? Yep. So yeah, I like that. So yeah, no, this promo was great. Yep. Absolutely great.
Yeah, no, I loved this segment. It was a great segment. And then we moved on to a recap of the Blood and Guts match with various guys talking about, this happened and I'm ready for this and blah, blah, blah. But it moves then to Jake Hager and Claudio Castagnoli, and they have, of course, a no contact agreement between them, because every backstage segment, they have to justify the lack of fighting now because they have to have a no contact agreement. But Jake says, "You're not as tough as me. You've never been a world champion anywhere, including WWE. I'm an undefeated MMA fighter." Claudia is just, anyone has to say they deserve respect doesn't. That's almost a shot at the Eddie Kingston stuff. You got your arm wrapped. Mine got raised. I'm undefeated. I'm going 3-0. Yeah. So it's just to set up their match on Dynamite next week.
Yeah, no. Don't be mistaken that Claudio and Kingston are going to go head to head eventually. That's they're going to come to blows. Like, you can tell they just mention each other subtly, like on their promos and stuff like that. So it's going to happen. They're playing, like, AEW is smart. They play the long game very well. So this will go on for a while until because again, Eddie Kingston is not part of the Blackpool Combat Club. So you get in their way, they're going to attack you. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. But yeah, Claudio versus Jake should be an interesting match. I mean, Jake, you barely see wrestle single matches, right? So to him to go up against Claudio might be a smart move, because they probably wrestled before.
Well, they have.
Yeah. So yeah, you know what? It might be a good match. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I think it might be. I know they had back in the days of the when Jake was doing Jack Swagger and that all-American gimmick, but he was being like the bad guy with it. With remember that manager? Oh, I can't. Dutch.
Well, his name, like, I think his real name is Dutch, but they call him something else on Raw and SmackDown. I forget the name they called him. I can't
remember.
Yeah, but his name is Dutch Martel.
Yeah, but he had a feud with Cesaro back then.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They've definitely fought before. So yeah, they're going to rehash their feud in a real wrestling ring, and we'll see what happens. I guess I thought, it was a decent back and forth. Neither of these guys are going to win any prizes for promos, but
no, definitely not.
But yeah, it was fine. Then we moved on to the Butcher and Blade with Bunny taking on Swerve in Our Glory. And it was noted that this is a match between, I believe, the number 4 ranked and number 3 ranked. Is it 4 and 5?
I think it's 4 and 5, if I'm not
Okay,
mistaken.
let's go with that.
It's 4 and 5. Yeah.
It's two top five tag
Yeah.
teams
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had the Blade and Keith started off, but there was an instant tag out by Blade, and then eventually we got to Swerve and Blade in the ring. Swerve messed up a leapfrog. First, Swerve and Blade messed up a leapfrog spot. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with the timing there, but at least they recovered fast. Swerve and Our Glory took control. There was some good double teams going on until the bunny interfered. You have Butcher and Blade taking over during the commercial, keeping the pressure on until they come back, and you see Swerve comes back. It's the hot tag finally. Lee goes nuts. They take out Butcher, but Blade moves in and Lee hits Swerve by mistake. There were multiple combos at this point and a near fall. Lee tries to save the near fall, but didn't really make it to the covered pair. The crowd started booing madly and chanting BS, BS.
Again.
Yeah. But then Swerve and Lee finally got their finisher on the Blade, and they get the 3 count.
Yeah, that's so it's not the thing that, like, first of all, it was the mess up at the beginning. It was Lee with the late save that kind of like threw it off a bit for me. I had Swerve doing that crazy kick to break up at the end. I was like, holy crap, what the hell was that? Like, that was such a cool kick. And yeah, their tag teams, like the tag team moves are so good. Wow. The problem is that I really, really like this match. I really did. But like I'm going back and forth on what I thought was match of the night, and it's really hard for me to give this the match of the night just because of some of the botches that happened, because it was so in your face bad botch, right? That hey, this was better than almost everything else on the card. Let's be real here. But I said almost everything, and it was a really, really good match, but those botches took me out at some points, and I was like, it felt like the minute that Swerve and Blade missed that leapfrog, they stumbled a bit after that. It looked like they didn't know they recovered. You're right, but they didn't know what they were doing, because you kind of had Swerve actually go up, tap Blade on the shoulder, and like tell him the move that's happening next, and I'm like, oh no, like I get it, like no one's perfect, whatever, it happens.
Yeah. It was
But
probably more like okay, let's just go into the drop to hold spot.
Yeah, but this was a great match. I don't think I'm gonna give it my match of the night, to be honest with you, but I think this was a fantastic match.
It was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. I really liked Butcher and the Blade. Like I said, they continue to be underrated. The 2 botches threw me a bit out of it too. It happens. It's wrestling.
It happens, exactly.
Right? I mean, that's what I love about wrestling, is that, it's in that sense, it's real. It's real athleticism. And it's live, and stuff's gonna happen. So, you know what? These guys are pros, and every pro messes up once in a while.
Yeah.
That said, it did take me out of it a bit. I'm with you. I love Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland's double team spots. I like a lot of Butcher and Blade's double team spots too. They also do a good job. They've got more of that, like, I love too how the Butcher's playing that uncontrollable guy at the beginning. He's going to get the chair. He's so frustrated, like, screw this whole rankings thing. I just want to kill him. Yeah, it was pretty great. I'd like to see more of them, and I'd like to see them sort of get some good matches under their belt. This was good. But
yeah, where did Butcher steal Tatanka's ring gear from? Because I was like, what the hell is Butcher wearing? I was like, where's Tatanka right now? He wants his ring gear back.
But, yes, yeah. But no, that was interesting. But yeah, no, but again, I agree with you. This can't be my match of the night. So after the match, Hobbs and Starks interrupt, and Hobbs says, he goes on a bit at them for like all the stuff they've been talking, and he goes, so what you actually have in front of you is 2 grown-ass men. Starks grabs the mic. We could have ended your career online or on the mic. Ask our former teammate. You're not on our level. Because of where you came from, you think you have a shot at us. So before I get to the next part, what did you think of this?
I thought it was good. Well, I thought at first they were just setting up their their feud. That's what I thought was
Mm-hmm.
happening, right? It was funny watching like Ricky Starks. Like Ricky Starks is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Hobbs, he's okay on the mic. Like he's nothing special. It's Ricky Starks who's freaking hilarious,
Yep.
and him reacting to Swerve Strickland, who you can't even hear, but
Yeah.
he's like, "Shut up, I'm coming now, bitch." It was hilarious. I
Yeah.
thought it was funny. I was like, okay, cool. When are you guys fighting? I'm in. When are you
Yeah.
guys
I
fighting?
am. But
Hmm.
the music hits. And out comes the actual, because these guys are arguing about the best tag team. Out comes the actual best tag team in the world, the Young
Yep.
Bucks. They go, cut the music. It's like you queued up our music for us, Nick says. I don't have to apologize for interrupting. We started this company. A great match, guys. The tag division's on fire. We're eating well, but, we set the table.
Yep.
And Matt says, no disrespect to you guys. You're good. You guys had a 4.5-star match at Double or Nothing. That's an off night for us.
Nice. Yep.
And Jurassic Express still beat both of you. And we beat Jurassic Express. Read it and weep.
Yeah.
Nick says, but we have a proposal. Triple or Nothing next week. 3-way tag title match versus the best damn tag team of all time. Now, there was an FTR chant in here, and they turned and said, we're better than them, and you know it.
Yeah.
And then the segment ends, and they play Keith Lee's music after that. But anyway, what'd you think? Bucks came out.
Yeah, no, they were awesome. I think you mixed up the brothers' names when you were telling.
I may have.
Yeah.
That is a distinct possibility.
Yeah.
I was trying to keep up with them.
Oh, okay, yeah. So basically, everything Bill said was correct. Just reverse Matt and Nick saying those different things.
That's a distinct possibility.
But yeah, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this match as soon as it's happening. But seeing how next week is an actual event at AEW Fighter Fest night 1. Not surprised, right? Not surprised. It's going to be a fantastic match. I think it's going to be really, really cool. I really do hope all 3 tag teams stay together by the end of the match. But I feel like next week's match, like this promo is amazing. Next week's match is just going to the Bucks are going to win. It's just going to form a feud between Starks and Hobbs, and it's just not start. It's gonna increase the feud between Starks and Hobbs versus Swerve in my glory. Yeah,
Swerve in our glory.
Swerve in our glory, because there is whoever loses, they're gonna blame the other team for it, right? It's just gonna go back and forth. So I think next week's match is gonna I think right now I'll say it, I think that match is gonna steal the night. Any match with the Bucks is going to steal the night.
The Elite is down to 3 people, and unless Brandon Cutler has a singles match, it's going to be the Bucks versus 2 amazing tag teams.
Yeah,
and it's going to steal the show. And while it's not going to steal the show, it already owns the show. It
owns the show.
So yeah, it's the Bucks.
Yeah.
What else can I say? It's the Bucks, and they're right.
Freaking hilarious.
They set the table. They're the best tag team in the world. I'm never ever going to dispute that. Read it and weep.
Yep, agreed. And just off. Did you take a look at BTE this week? What happened?
I missed it this week.
Okay, so you remember 2 weeks ago when the Bucks were talking about their friend, like we have another friend, but and I had said maybe it's Hangman, right? There's being the Elite ends with Matt on his phone at his house, and he's typing this message to Hangman, and it says, hey man, it's been a long time. I feel like we just need to have a talk, and it would resolve a lot of issues we've been having. And he actually puts love Matt at the end of it, and he's looking at it and he's about to hit send, and then he just deletes it, and you're like, okay, I see what's happening here. Okay. Like they're trying, like with all these injuries, like we'll talk about Hangman in a bit. Like Hangman's awesome, man. Like I think it's time. I think it's time that
100%. It's time to forgive Hangman and let him back in the Elite.
Let him back in the Elite. Yep, exactly.
It is. So, because once you're Elite, you're always Elite in your heart.
Agreed.
So, speaking of things that could be classified as Elite, we then move to a dark room in Malachi Black. Who, You just see him in the shadows, and he goes, I envy you, John, for the decisions you've made and the violence you've inflicted on yourself. I envy the experience you're about to have. You think you know anger, pain, violence? I'll make sure Brodie King leaves his mark on you. The House of Black will make sure anything you experience tonight will go far beyond the physical realm of pain. I envy you, John. And then Brodie King comes.
Just walks in. Yeah,
Yeah.
that like I'm telling you, Malachi Black is one of the coolest people that AEW has, and they better lock him down as long as they can as well. The promos he cuts, whereas we joke about, Kingston, Eddie Kingston and John Moxley not understanding that wrestling is fake. With Black, he makes it sound real, and there's this like underlying kind of like dark, almost supernatural kind of tone to it that he adds. And every single time this guy talks, and it's not only him, someone else is going to talk later on as well. These guys are killing it promo wise. And Black is such a good wrestler too, right? So the fact that I love it that he ends it, I envy you, John. And he walks in, I was like, this was A+ promo cutting. Yeah. Like, I have nothing else to say about this.
Malachi Black is like that intelligent demon that's just sitting on a throne, watching everything and sending his people out, and enjoys pain and all that kind of stuff. It's wonderful. His promos are so
amazing,
good.
Yeah,
I love them, especially now that he's been let out of the black room in WWE, where all he did was get to talk about nothing and have no point to his promos, but they sounded really cool, but it was more like full of sound and fury signifying nothing. Here he's got a point, and my God, is it good.
It's awesome.
So yeah, this set it up for the match nicely. Then Eddie Kingston's music hits. Eddie comes out. He comes out and congrats Wardlow. He gives congratulations to the team that won Blood and Guts. Even you, Claudio. I've grown up. And then he laughs about growing up. Here's why I'm out there, though. Chris Jericho made me a liar. You didn't bleed. I didn't taste your blood. So I'm going to get you again. And then Jericho cuts in from the Jumbotron. He says, you want to taste my blood? You want to get crazy? We can get crazy. And you see in the back, they've got their, I guess it's was it an SUV?
SUV.
And Ty Conti has Ruby Soho, puts her arm in the door and slams the door on Ruby Soho's arm. And she just starts wailing.
Yeah.
And that was the end of that segment. What'd you think of the segment?
It was good. At first, I was like, what female wrestler hangs out with Eddie Kingston? Like, I couldn't figure it out when I heard someone screaming. And then I realized, oh yes, that's right, Ruby attacked Hi last week.
Yeah, but she also goes way back with Eddie Kingston.
Yeah. And like, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then they slam the door in her hand. I'm like, yeah, you know what, again, this is normal sports entertainment, but they throw in this seemed like it's so funny because they pull things right out of WWE, but they use it so much better in AEW, because they're kind of poking fun at WWE at the same time, right? I love it. It's hilarious. I love how they just like walk over her like she's nothing. But yeah, it's good.
Let's keep in mind, too, the old WCW segment where Bill Goldberg decided to punch his fist through a limo window, but asked for it not to be a gimmicked window because he wanted it to be realistic, right? So sports entertainment at its finest. But no, you're right. This was an excellent sports entertainment style setup, but done with, the AEW panache and emotion, because one, if you need someone ever to scream in a horror movie, hire Ruby Soho, because oh my God, is she good at that. Like, she had me absolutely convinced she was in terrible agony, right? It was so well done. It's a good setup for Eddie Kingston, taking out his friends. I mean, it's really, I like how they're building up to that eventual confrontation between Jericho and Kingston. I'm not sure I'm going to care about the match itself when it happens, but man, the story they're telling along the way is darn entertaining.
And they're also giving Ruby Soho and Ty Conti something to do as well.
That's a good point.
Right? They're building up storylines there. So yeah, it makes sense.
absolutely. And then we have the Dark Order's music play. The whole Dark Order comes out. They get, and including with -1.
-1, yeah.
It's this being, Brodie Lee's hometown. So Evil Uno gets the mic and he says that they have important news and everyone here has to hear it because all the people, everyone here has made the Dark Order today, showing up, supporting us. The news he's got, though, is that the 6 of them are here to stay. Dark Order is forever. We begin a new chapter. It's a proclamation. So -1 gets the mic, but he's interrupted by our favorite guy, QT Marshall, who says, "You ain't your father." Talking to -1. He's a legend. You take after your mom.
Mother. Oh,
so he
goodness.
wants to face -1 alone in the ring. He says, "I've come out here alone, but you came out with your people." So apparently he wants to take on a kid. Then Hangman's music hits and Hangman comes running out for the save. Not even the save, just I guess he's offended this guy's trying to take on a kid. The Dark Order beats down QT, hands the mic to -1, who says to him, "Nah, I'm going to wait till I'm 18 to pin you."
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it was a good segment, obviously, for being in Rochester, right? Brodie Lee. I was about to say Brodie Lee Jr. Brodie Lee's hometown. It was great because after everything's been happening with the Dark Order, people being let go, I have a feeling the rest of them probably signed contracts recently. That's probably why Evil Uno said that they're here to stay, which is great. Because you have John Silver and these guys, they're pretty good, they're really good. And I love the fact that QT interrupts. Such a like that. This is something QT Marshall would do, right? Like this is just something QT Marshall would do. So it fit perfectly. I did enjoy Hangman coming out for the save, I guess you can call it. He kind of really just punched QT once. He's like they called him the honorary member of the Dark Order, which he really they had that whole storyline. So I'm glad he came out, to help out the kid and stuff like that. It did its job. The crowd got into it. Everyone just loved seeing QT get beaten down, and like this got a huge pop. So well done.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was a nice thing to do in Brodie Lee's hometown, right? It's something I love about AEW, so they really pay attention to the towns they're in and giving sort of that town something it would want too, so that people actually go home from the show happy and not going, "Oh man, they fooled us and this man, I'm so mad at them. So next time I'm gonna buy more tickets to go be angry and upset when I leave the show again." No, they actually like make the fans at most of these events pretty happy most of the time, Yeah. So yeah, no, this was a nice little segment. Nice to give -1 his little bit again, Wonder if someday he really will be a wrestler and get to pin QT Marshall. I would love his first match to be against QT Marshall. Seriously. Agreed. Yeah, they do have this long-standing feud going on. After all, he did pants the man once, right? Yeah. So, yep. So, at 9 o'clock, JR now comes out and joins the broadcast team in place of Tony Schiavone, and he remains for the rest of it. This seems to be what they're doing now, with JR coming out halfway through the show. Next up, we have Penta Oscuro, who comes out with Alex Abrahantes and Rey Fenix, taking on Rush, who comes out with Jose the Assistant and Andrade El Idolo. The announcers emphasize that this rivalry dates back over the last 5 years. So it opens up, they go at it with some chops and a good opening back and forth. Both these guys, and the announcers emphasize, they know each other really well. So there's counters and back and forth. Rush ends up stopping Penta, though, with a massive elbow strike and takes control until he goes for the mask, which would be a recurring theme in this match. Rush going after Penta's mask again. Penta does a great Tope Con Hero to the outside, but after that we see Jose spears Alex, and we get this breakdown that goes into the commercial, and the referee tosses the assistants, but strangely not Rey Fenix or Andrade El Idolo. They get to stay around. Rush does a great dropkick as Penta comes off the top rope, timing it perfectly and nails him. But then there was a long reverse chinlock spot during the commercial. He starts to unlace the mask. But then after the commercial, another Penta with an off-rope backstabber that just looked great again to Rush for a near fall. A headbutt exchange that looked pretty vicious with a leaping knee. They both go down. There was vicious stomps to Penta in the corner, top rope missile drop kick for a near fall, then Rush does a senton for a near fall. Penta gets him then with a rolling cutter and a fear factor, but Andrade puts Rush's foot on the rope. And then as Andrade's got the ref distracted, there is a low blow behind the ref by Rush. Rush gets the pin, tears the mask off of Penta, and La Facción Ingobernable steal the mask and the victory.
Yeah, I actually put this match as my match of the night. I thought it was the best out of all the matches that were present on this card. But yeah, this match was brutal. I thought the shots that they were taking on each other were absolutely crazy. It's a good showing for Rush. I think he has that. He's big, but you can obviously tell he's wrestled in Mexico for a very long time.
He's a luchador.
Yeah. So you clearly see where him and Andrade would be a great tag team going forward. I really like the match. I really like the reversals. Penta's always great. That exchange, that headbutt exchange, I was like, what the hell are they doing to each other? To the point where I didn't even realize there was a knee at the end. I thought he jumped and headbutt him in the head and knocked him over. It was just nuts. You're right. Going after the mask is what Andrade and his teams have been doing recently, which is obviously gonna melt over into a tag team match between these four guys, which is gonna be absolutely insane, right? But yeah, I really like this match, and that's why I said this was my favorite match of the night, easily, beating out everything else. Because the weird part was it took the cool kind of high flying from like the Swerve match, and then it took the hard hitting stuff from the last match, the Moxley match, and it kind of put them in together. And I'm like, you know what? These guys, I couldn't really tell you if they messed up at all, because they just flowed. Everything flowed.
They
right?
didn't mess up.
They didn't. Best thing, like even the backstabber that what's his name, Penta did, right from top. It looked a little bit like it missed, but you couldn't tell because it went so quickly. You're like, holy crap, that looked like it hurt like hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even JR was saying, you know, that he meant to do it. He had to do it like a little differently. But yeah, overall, like I thought this was the best match of the night.
I agree with you. This is the match of the night because these guys, when they go at it, it's like you can tell these guys have chemistry, right? I mean, Penta is not the high flyer his brother is,
no,
but he can wrestle.
Yeah.
And Rush is not the technical kind of guy that Andrade is either, but he can wrestle. And when these guys started chopping each other, and when those big overhand chops they were doing, I was like, whoa, these guys look like they're killing each other. That elbow that Rush gave to Penta to move into it, that was better than anything I saw in the main event.
Yeah.
It was just killer. And these guys went at it hard. Like the hitting was good. The story was good. You know, the whole he's going to disrespect Penta. He's not just here to beat him. He's here to disrespect him. He hates him so much. He's going to do the worst thing you can do to a luchador. I mean, sure, it's a story that's been told a million times, but they told it really well in this match. You know, I like the fact that they're kind of bringing back La Facción Ingobernales, which is the origin of the, you know, the Ingobernales de Japan, right? Because that was that faction in Mexico sending a contingent to Japan.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's where it came from originally, was this faction from Mexico.
Okay.
So I like that they're bringing that back now with Rush. It'd be nice if, you know, that's kind of the identity they take, because that would also be a good crossover for their work with New Japan, right? But no, the whole match was good. The finish was exactly what it should be, right? You don't have to have a perfect finish on Dynamite, but the low blow, removing the mask with Andrade out there. I mean, this will build into something bigger, like you said. You know, you can see the tag team match coming, and I can't imagine that tag team match being anything but spectacular. So I'm all in. Best match of the night. Way to go, guys. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
And we move from this into a graphic that shows that Samoa Joe has signed to defend against Jay Lethal. So, of course, we now have to get a promo in the back with Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh. All I noted was it was a by the numbers promo.
Yeah, it's by the numbers. Who cares? They're gonna fight. They're happy.
Yeah, yay. But then we move on to Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese in the back again. This time, they come up to Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, who happened to be in the back, and he's like, "Hey, we know you hate this Swerve guy, right?" So Orange Cassidy's answers, "I don't read anything without my lawyer," which turns out to be Danhausen. And you know what? I'll talk about it in a bit, but anyway, Tony Nese. What ends up happening is they agree, hey, we'll have Tony Nese versus Orange Cassidy on Rampage. If Tony Nese wins, Orange Cassidy has to sign the document. Right, and then at the end, Tony Nese going, is he even a lawyer?
Yeah.
Referring to Danhausen. So yeah, Orange Cassidy was great in this, but I like Danhausen as a lawyer. That was actually funny to me. What did you think of this segment?
Yeah, no, this was a funny segment. I love how when the camera moves over to the best friends, all they're doing is high-fiving each other. They're practicing high-fiving each other. I was like, what are they doing back here? But yeah, but it's funny. I'm glad, I'm glad after what we had said about Chuck Taylor that we're seeing him now more on screen, because clearly it looks like they've signed him for longer. But yeah, it was a funny segment. Danhausen just stating random like lawyer lines. I object. Sustained. He's just saying random things.
Is he even a lawyer?
Yeah, hearsay. He's like, what?
Yeah, that was great when he was like, they finished the whole thing about the match and stuff, and he just goes, hearsay.
Hearsay. Yeah, I thought it did its job. It was funny. It's gonna set up a great match between Cassidy and Tony Nese. So yeah, it was a good segment.
Is it possible that Danhausen might even fit in with the best friends in a weird way?
Wasn't he there before? Didn't he always come out with the best friends previously? And for some reason, he was now joined with Hook.
And we've got a match set up between Tony Nese and Orange Cassidy for Rampage. So once again, Rampage not looking so bad.
Too bad, yeah.
So we have the Acclaimed and the Gun Club versus Roughing It and Fuego del Sol. So you hear the Acclaimed music hit. Anthony Bowens gets about 3 words out, and I think it was Austin Gunn snatches the mic away from him. There was no Acclaimed intro. Max Caster did no rap.
He was upset.
And so was the crowd. And the Gun Club they were looking all intense and angry. So they opened the match. They're hitting pretty hard. They're not really goofing around this time. But Bowens tags himself in. Fuego gets the hot tag out to Bronson, who just wipes everybody in the ring out. Gets a near fall on Austin Gunn. The Acclaim then takes over after that, though, and eventually Bowens knocks him down. Mic drop by Max Caster, but there was a blind tag by one of the Gun Club, and they steal the pin and get the 3. So, Max Caster and Bowens, they argue with the Gun Club. Gun Club attacks the Acclaim. Billy interferes, stops his kid, but then turns around and decks Max Caster. Bowens gets up on his knees and goes for a scissors with Billy Gunn and gets a famouser instead. So then Austin scissors a downed unconscious Bowens, and that was the end of the segment.
Yeah. Pretty funny. It was like, so Billy Gunn was the mastermind behind everything, right? Remember, Billy, you were talking about the story. You're like, why is he doing this to his kids? It doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Right. I guess it was all part of the plan.
Yep.
I think AEW is doing what AEW should be doing here. They need to push Max Caster and Bowens to the moon, because they're such baby faces. Even if they're bad, they're baby faces, right? And the Gun Club are just bad guys. They're just bad guys. That's it, right? I'm actually interested in this feud.
Having seen this week, I'm going to tell you this was the plan from the beginning. That or they listened to us last week and then they fixed it all. But I think that they brought in the Guns specifically because they knew it would turn the Acclaimed into faces if the Acclaimed responded to the Guns in the right way. Because remember, from day one, they were calling them the Ass Boys, and they were getting those weird looks from them. From day one that the 4 of them were working together, it was always the Acclaim making fun of the Ass. And that kept putting them over, because the crowd hates the Gun Club.
Yeah, they do.
And they didn't stop hating the Gun Club, but they loved the Acclaimed. And the more the Acclaimed made fun of the Gun Club, the worse it got, to the point where it was becoming very obvious that the Acclaimed have undergone a face turn.
Yeah.
And then last week, that's why I was so confused. It's like he attacked his own kids to join the Acclaimed. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Well, this week it made sense. But now he turns on them. Makes total sense. Like JR said, blood is thicker than water.
Yep. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, we got it now. The world makes sense again. Billy Gunn was playing them all along. He's with his own sons. He's not a father that backstabbed his sons as a face turn, which made no sense to me last week. The Acclaimed are the good guys. The Gun Club are the bad guys. All is right in the world. This was a good story. You had me for a moment last week. So even Billy Gunn got me last week, because I never once said, oh, he's faking it. And neither one of us said that.
Yeah, none of us.
He got us both. You and I were both just trying to justify this story in some way. Yeah. No, it all worked out for the best. So good job, AEW. Way to tell a story.
Agreed.
Then we get a Miro promo. Miro says to Malachi Black, we are different kind of men. You collect the weak, I dispose of them. You have their backs, I break them. I rattled the gates of heaven and will destroy the gates of hell. The Redeemer is coming enraged.
Yeah, as much as Mox's promo was good, the last two were amazing. I just wrote down the Redeemer is coming enraged, right? Just Miro versus the House of Black. Remember, he said he's going after the House of Black. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, the pay-per-view, it's going to be Malachi versus Miro. And yeah, I love this promo. And I thought it was like, this is such a cool promo. Like, it's so well done. And yeah, I just can't wait till this feud starts.
Yeah, I just look forward to the back and forth between these two.
Same.
Yeah, it'll be good stuff. It'll be really good stuff. Then it was around 9:30.
How did I forget this match?
Exactly. After we get finished talking about, talk about Malachi Black and Miro, and then Nyla Rose's music hits, and hey, Nyla Rose is good, but she's comes out with Marina Shafir.
With an umbrella.
With umbrellas. Yes, they both come out with umbrellas. Because they're facing Thunderstorm. Toni Storm comes out to her music, and then Rose's music hits, reminding us how terrible Toni Storm's music really is as they play them back to back. And JR comments, I'm not sure if I can endorse that black hat wearing to Rose. And then he goes, just kidding. I love her. She can wear whatever the heck she wants. So, yeah, the match starts off. I have to tell you that my wife interrupted me partway through this match, so I kind of missed the middle of it. So if I miss anything important, please let me know. But there was a sloppy Hurricane Rana by Storm on Shafir to pretty much open the match. So Toni Storm, the parts I did see, she messed a roll up on Nyla. But Rose versus Nyla after the commercial. Rose versus Nyla. She's fighting herself. But Rosa versus Nyla after the commercial, like Rosa came with that fast series of drop kicks into Nyla on the bottom rope. That was really, they had that. And then, caught the third time with that side slam. But then Nyla tagged in Marina Shafir again. And she did something that was supposed to be a pump handle throw where Rosa landed on a leg or something like that. And then, Rosa and Toni get a spike pile driver on Shafir for the win.
Yeah, this match was very messy. Obviously, when the two wrestlers stepped in, you could tell, the match was kind of being wrestled properly. Like, it did nothing for me. I was like, all right, whatever. It is what it is.
I would have rather just seen Nyla Rose versus Thunder Rosa.
Same.
They were doing great. And then after that match, we then go into the back with Jade Cargill and the baddies and Stokely.
And we should just leave this promo because no one cares about it.
Yeah, I really didn't care about it. And then we have a Daniel Garcia promo. Daniel Garcia was talking to Wheeler Yuta.
Yes.
And he said, I felt everything that you can give. You don't scare me. I was in that cage with you. Give me a title shot at Death Before Dishonor. You can call me a pro wrestler. You can call me a sports entertainer, but give me the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta at the pay-per-view. That would be great.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
And then FTR They had
Mm-hmm.
a promo as well. They said, "We have the belts. You know, the Ring of Honor match, though, took the most out of us. Death before dishonor is coming. Some think we're not the best in the world, and that doesn't sit well with us. Ring of Honor needs the rematch of the decade. FTR versus the Briscoes 2 to prove who is the best tag team on the planet."
But we know who the best tag team on the planet is. So I mean,
Well, yeah, I'm kind of
it's
confused.
the same. I was like, you mean second best tag team? But okay, sure.
How about just a good tag
Yeah,
team?
yeah,
To prove who a really good tag team is,
yeah,
because neither one of you are the Bucks.
yeah, exactly.
So that brings us to the main event. We have John Moxley versus Brodie King. William Regal has joined the commentary team. King was beating down Mox for quite a bit of this until they go into the steps. Mox gets then dumped on his back on the, like, this tailbone hits the ramp. That's something the announcers called attention to when he gets dumped onto the floor. But then Mox starts to work over King's leg. He does a dragon screw into a figure four, drops some elbows on the leg, guillotine on the knee. And I'm thinking, wow, we're really going to get a story of this. Mox is doing some like really good technical stuff here. But King fights back, does a boss man slam, which I love, for a near fall. So Brodie dominates through the commercial. It's just basically a Brodie King beatdown on Moxley through the entire commercial. So then it comes back from commercial. Brodie misses a cannonball. At this point, I did check the time. It was 9:56 p.m. I'm like, okay, this will probably be wrapping up soon. Mox was bit him and then does a superplex into a bulldog choke, a release dragon for a near fall. He does the head kicks, but then King gets a lariat into a pile driver for a near fall. He gets him up on the ropes into a rear naked choke. It looked like pulled him right off the ground to the point where he was where it looked like Moxley was passing out. Drops him on the ground and cannonballs him for a near fall. There was then a paradigm shift with followed up by the hammer and anvil elbows. Bulldog choke, but King gets up, and then the choke again, and he puts down King by submission at 10:01 p.m. for a 14-minute match. What'd you think?
This match was okay. I mean, it was good. Like, I felt like Brodie King should have come out of this looking a lot stronger than he did. I just felt like, yeah, Mox did a good job. So yeah, I was like, okay, this match was it did its job. But I had said from the beginning, I said, this match could either, I'm really hoping to see Brodie King excel and show power and just take control. I would have preferred if this match was just all out Brodie King, just destroying Mox for the entire match, and then Mox just finds it at the end to beat him. But there was a lot of back and forth here, and I'm like, what did this match show you about Brodie King that his other matches haven't? Right? I couldn't tell. Like in the other matches, at least I see him wrestling a tag team and do some really cool power slams and stuff like that, right? But this match, I thought it was just okay at that point. I'm like, yeah, it was good. It was okay. I mean, I've already chosen my match of the night, but I'm like, to me, it didn't promote Brodie King as much as it should be, and that's what disappointed me a little bit about this match.
I was also disappointed in this match for slightly different reasons,
Mm-hmm.
similar to yours, but
Mm-hmm.
slightly different. I mean, it was, like, just to start out, it was a good match.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, 3-star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bucks do that in their sleep, though. I mean, so we really can't judge
Yeah,
that.
I'm sure there's some people out there who might think this is a 5-star match, but
Yeah,
to me,
no,
it's just 3 stars.
no, not 5
But
stars.
Brodie King didn't look quite strong enough.
Yeah.
You're right. I agree with you on that. Now, my problem was the story. I'm really big into wrestling storytelling. The story here was all over the place. This was like a story that was like being written as it felt like a story written by Mox when he's in a really random mood. Because it starts off with like a lot of hard hitting. Brodie King, he's using power moves and taking control, and he beats him down and throws him around. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Brodie King is taking control. But then Mox starts working on the leg. And I'm like, and JR is going, you got to keep these big guys down. JR is really like, he's helping the story along, right? And JR is so good at that. He's helping the story along. He's like, he's working on the leg. He does that really good series of some more technical, almost Bret Hart style stuff to his leg. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to see a totally different Mox in this match. He's going to show why he's like that member of the Blackpool Combat Club. Except that didn't go anywhere. That was the only time he worked on the leg in the entire match. Yep. The leg gets forgotten for the rest of the match. So you thought you were going to take the big guy down, but instead you just go back to like trading punches with him. And you're right. What ends up happening is Brody King does some stuff. John Moxley does some stuff, but neither one of them really stood out or shone. There was no real story to this match at all. It was just two guys beating on each other till one submitted. It was good. It was good. It was fine. I felt it was disappointing in a way. That was Dynamite.
That was Dynamite.
I do understand though, and I would be remiss in asking this. Were you not joined in your office by someone or something else to watch these shows tonight?
Yeah, of course, of course. I actually was joined by the great one himself, Mr. Kenny Omega, and no one knows what I'm talking about. But this past weekend, I went shopping for a friend's kid's birthday party. The kid is in love with wrestling. And as I was walking through the aisle of of our local Walmarts, I stumbled upon AEW wrestling figures. And I thought, no way, as I saw, they had like a lot of Brits, Bakers, they had some other wrestlers as well. But hidden in the back were two Kenny Omega dolls. so yes, joining me watching my wrestling going forward is my new Kenny Omega action figure, which is fantastic. If you can't have the real thing, I guess you know what, he's here in spirits in my action figure, right? So yeah, Kenny is joining us permanently going forward.
A most excellent purchase. Most excellent. So excellent. This is a good way for us to segue into our phrase that sums up tonight's show.
You know what? For tonight's show, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to say, rest in peace, Brodie Lee.
My phrase that sums up the evening is, there's a lot of people out there that would think it was 5 stars, but to me, it's only 3.5.
And we can do that in our sleep, right? So, the Bucks are amazing.
Exactly. Exactly. Young Bucks all the way. That about sums up the night. And as the great one always says, goodbye, everybody, and good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.